Welcome to Lead Different, the podcast that redefines leadership and challenges the status quo. Hosted by Daniel Dominguez, founder and CEO of Why Not Leadership. This show is your compass to becoming a better leader through the power of self-awareness. Good leaders foster teams that are engaged, empowered, and energized. Join us on this transformative journey as we equip you with the tools and insights to lead different. Get ready to challenge the ordinary and embrace self-aware leadership. This is Lead Different.
Subscribe now. Discover a new era of leadership. Lead Different, because great leaders change the world.
The Lead Different podcast. I am excited to introduce you to our guest today, Kelley Lujan, who is a partner at the Direction Company and a partner and the strategic optimizer at Elevation 180. We're going to have to ask her what strategic optimizer is so you can all learn about it. She helps companies create processes and systems that deliver predictable, sustainable results, unlock greater freedom, and foster a bigger future. She's also a Kolbe Certified Consultant and a WHY.os Certified Coach. She empowers individuals to perform best when it matters most. Her knowledge and experience equips her to align teams, respect their unique strengths, and unlock their collective performance potential. She grew up in the insurance industry, but she was the first Lujan to leave New Mexico, having graduated from the University of San Diego in business administration. That's not a bad school, by the way. I've seen that campus. Welcome to the show, Kelley.
Thanks for having me, Dan. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited that you're here. You know, there's so much going on with you. First of all, let's start with congratulations. You were recently named a partner at your dad's original company, Elevation 180. And then you're also a partner in his new venture, which is the Direction Company. So we those of us that watch the show, you know that I've worked with Jerry for a long time. This is what happens when you create great kids. Kelley Lujan is Jerry Lujan's daughter and one of my favorite coaches in the world. She is brilliant. You know, when I was reading that intro and I talk about the things that you do, Kelley, you literally do that because you worked with us when I was at Y Institute and you did empower us to perform best when it mattered most. And you did help us align our team and respect our strengths and unlock our collective potential. So I've experienced that coaching side of you and you're amazing at it. So thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. That was quite the intro. I appreciate it.
Yeah, listen. So tell us about this new venture that you and Jerry and Tyler have going on with the Direction Company. I had a chance to go through it, but I'd love to hear your perspective on it. And I've heard Tyler's. We've interviewed him, and I heard Jerry's perspective on it. You came in because obviously the strength that they needed that neither of them had was how do you organize it all? How do you optimize it? So you came in. What's been your role in it and where do you see it going?
Yeah, so the Direction Company is all about how do we help people attract, develop, and retain great people, especially in today's world. There's a lot of turnover, different things are happening. And so this course that we developed within the Direction Company is called Catalyst for Lifelong Direction. And it really empowers individuals with the right skills, whether that's soft skills or habits that they need to start growing and making more of an impact, not only in their lives, but in their business and in their community. And so my role within all of that is, you know, Tyler and Jerry are the visionaries behind it. And I came in to what I call put some meat on the bones and kind of give things some order and direction. Everything I do is about optimizing, maximizing, and systemizing everything that I can to make things predictable and so that you have time for inevitably when things are unpredictable. And so that's what I came into the Direction Company to do.
And you know, you brought something up. You systematize what you can so you can react when for the things that aren't systematized, right? And that's something your dad talks about. But it's easy for him to say because he's got Kelley who can systematize just about everything. So, you know, one of the things I do like to do on the podcast, Kelley, is talk about your why operating system. So I know you're Kolbe Certified Consultant and you're also WHY.os Certified. So your why is right way. So you lead with processes, systems, consistent, reliable results. You have a how of mastery. which is all about digging deep, understanding things at a deep level. So we're going to get depth and breadth when we talk to Kelley. And your what is trust, which means we can trust you to do what you say you're going to do. Trust is very important to you. I can see why that leads to the person that they brought in for exactly what you're doing for the direction company. Tell me, how long has it been since you've known your WHY.os, and how has it impacted the work that you do?
I think I've known it to some extent for a long time. I know it's not technically batteries included, but I mean, this has been a part of me for as long as I can remember. My mom will tell you stories from when I was 5 years old of, having my backpack and my checklist by the door ready to go for kindergarten the next day. I think it's just always part of who I am, in that belief system that there is a right way to do things and a system that'll lead to more predictable results. So it's been with me for as long as I can imagine. Now, when did I finally put words to it and know that it was called the Why of Right Way? I think that was in 2019 or so is when I discovered that, and then the how and the what shortly thereafter.
Yeah, so you discovered around the same time that I did, right? When I joined Gary at the Y Institute, I discovered my WHY.os, and it changed my life. I know your dad talks about what an impact it had on him, especially having the Why of Better Way. He thought of it as a handicap. He thought, "Gosh, what's wrong with me? Why do I just get bored especially when I make things better?" But that's how he operates. Bringing someone like Kelley Lujan with the Why of Right Way. Definitely makes a lot of sense for somebody with the why of better way. And it's interesting because when I say Kelley is one of my favorite people, I do mean it, because I truly love how I appreciate your talent and your gift for organizing and creating things. And Sunil, who's my EA, is also right way. So, I used to think with the how of challenge, Kelley, that I would hate working with people that had the why of right way. And then I don't. I actually love and appreciate what you bring to the table. I hate being held accountable for the stuff that I don't do what I'm supposed to be doing. But without somebody like a Kelley or like a Sunil that says, "Hey, you said you were going to do this. This is the schedule we said we were going to do it on," I could go on just, as Jerry likes to say, spinning a lot. And those right way people help us stay on track. What's the dynamic like with two better way people that you're hanging out with at the direction company?
I think I tend to surround myself with them, to be honest. In any venture I work in, there seems to always be a better way present. But I think the beauty of knowing my why and knowing their why is we know what lane that we can run in. And I know that they have a belief that they want to make things better. Like, at the end of the day, that's what they want. That's what they're looking for. And when we first started working together, because my right way is so strong, it could really get in the way of their better way and how they wanted to move forward and why they believed that they were trying to do the things that they do. But knowing it and knowing how to communicate it has been absolute gold for us. So, for example, if Jerry or Tyler came into the room and was like, "Hey, Kelley, I have a better way to do this. Let's change everything." And I'll look at them like, "No, no, we're not going to do that." I can definitely be accused of being rigid or being called Dr. No. But if they come in and say, "Hey, Kelley, I think I have a way that might drive more predictable results. Are you open to talking about it?" Then all of a sudden my walls come down and I'm like, "Yes, absolutely. That's all I want, is to make that happen." So we're both at the end of the day looking for the same thing. It's just a matter of how you phrase it and when each person comes in so that they can do what they do best.
So that's really good, because what you mentioned is something we talk about all the time, the platinum rule. So if they come in and talk to you in your language, right, which is about consistent, reliable results and systems and processes, if they bring it to you that way, then your ears are open and you're nodding your head, "Hey, that sounds like something that we should look at." If they come in and just want to tell you, "Hey, we found a better way to do it and we're just going to implement it tomorrow," you're like, "No, no, we're not." Because it takes, one of the things that I've learned and that we have to be cognizant of when we work with different types of whys is how long it takes for those better way or challenge ideas to get implemented, right? And so the last thing you want to do when you've done all that work to implement, create the system and the process from the last better way idea that they had, is change it again, right? So you probably also allow them to not chase shiny objects too much.
Yeah, definitely, to an extent. It's definitely a balance, I would say, because if someone with my why and how and what, actually, it probably makes it even stronger. I don't, want to do things that are off the wall. There is a structure and a system behind pretty much everything I do, but I also don't want that to inhibit them and take the wind out of their sails when they have new ideas that they want to bring to light. So knowing that about myself and having that self-awareness of just because this is what I know and believe and how I'd naturally go about doing something, but also knowing that that's what they believe and then how they're going to go about doing something. Knowing that difference is gold. Otherwise, we could squash each other so easily. And it just wouldn't work, because if we had a bunch of clone right ways, we probably wouldn't get anything done, or at least not have anything new done,
Right.
nothing new implemented. We would stick to the status quo. So it's imperative that we have the better ways. But I also believe if they didn't have the right way to their better way, they'd have all the new ideas, which would be awesome. But how can we make it predictable so that at the end of the day, the client or the customer gets the best result too?
Well, so let's talk about that, Kelley, because the direction company, if we're talking about the course, first of all, I can see the Jerry and I can see the Tyler in there. But that website that you guys created, and you used a great platform for it so that everybody can go in there and use it. Going through the course, I had the opportunity to go through the course myself. You made it so easy. You had the PDF forms so I could do my self-evaluation and then go through the 16, is it practices? It's a law of success, right? So there's 16 principles to the law of success. And I love that it had, and I'm sure this came from you. So they had a pre-evaluation, and then you did an evaluation after you took each one of the modules, and then you did a post-evaluation. The people you have on there, I mean, it is a who's who of the leadership world. You have Kathy Kolbe, you have Colonel Scott Mann, you had Bo Eason, Ara Sapaya, Gino Wickman, Ed Lujan, your grandpa, John Buffett, Nota Begay. I mean, there were so many amazing people. How were you guys, I can tell that's Jerry's network, but how did you get all those people to buy into the vision and then sharing their gifts, because they make the principles really come to life?
They really do. And what was fun about it is when we were going through and started brainstorming, who would be a good fit for each principle and how are we going to go about this? Jerry obviously helped us tremendously with his relationships and things like that, so that, we had some places to pull from. But when we started talking to each of these people about, hey, this is the principle that we want you to be a part of, here's what it's about. And then we created a scorecard behind it to benchmark to see, are you on your way to being the best at that principle? And we tried to choose people that we believed emulated that at the highest place. Once they saw that, they were like, yes, that's 100% me. And so it came so naturally when it came to sharing their gifts about what they had done, because most of these people, that principle was ingrained in them and they've been doing it all their life. It's ingrained in every single step that they have. So for example, Bo Eason, his principle was on imagination, and he has talked forever since he was a young boy. He had this napkin basically that he drew out his dream on, and he's like, oh, I've been doing this forever. It's so natural to me. And so that was amazing to have him share his perspective on that. But everyone had their own thing that we do believe we're the best in the world at. And so getting to see that come to life and really getting mentored by them, because they did turn into mentors for both Tyler and I. And, Jerry's been working with a lot of them for a long time. And getting that mentorship, even if it's not someone that we call in every day, but getting it over the video, I think really helps you make that progress if you're willing to put in the work.
And that was the other thing that I learned, Kelley. It was work. I remember because so first of all, I was flattered that you and Jerry and Tyler asked me, hey, will you give this a try so that you can give us your feedback? So thank you for that opportunity. And then I said, oh yeah, I'll get it done by in a couple of weeks. And then I got into it, and boy, there's a lot of depth to it. So your mastery shows there, because I did the pre-examination, and Bo Eason's a perfect example. I looked, when I did that self-evaluation, I thought, oh, my imagination, I'm a challenge guy. I'm like a 9 or 10. And then you listen to Bo and how he brought his vision to life using his imagination, using the power of positive thinking and projection, all those things. And I was like, I'm like a -2 really when compared to Bo, but it really gives you a good perspective on what people who do something at the highest level do versus what you're doing and how you can get better. And then you give yourself a final assessment once you've gone through everything. So it's really so well organized. Who should be taking this course, the Catalyst for Lifelong Direction?
When we first started talking about this, we really were like, this could apply to anyone. This would be great for students and people that are willing to grow. But what we've really found is that business owners, business leaders, or team leaders who are really looking to develop their team members,
Mm-hmm.
this is for them. It's for the people that, you have a good team, probably, B plus A players, and you want them to stay with you for a long time. You want to continue to develop their potential. This is for them, because this is for people that are already learners, strivers, that want to get better and go to that next level. If you don't even have that motivation to start, this is going to be a lot, because it does force you to kind of look at yourself in the mirror and think, where am I? And judge yourself realistically. And so we want people that are willing to grow and learn and strive and try new things, because in a few of these principles, while things like topics like imagination and things like that, it may seem fluffy, but there is a real life principle behind it and habits that you need to implement. And so we want people that are going to try to make those changes. And the beauty of the platform that we selected is that there's a community of people doing this with you. You're not alone. So you can learn from the things that others have done and tried and maybe worked or didn't work for them, so that you can increase, your direction and your progress even faster.
That, and I've got to give credit to, so everybody knows, everybody talks about Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, but this concept came from a book that he wrote previous to Think and Grow Rich called The Law of Success, and talk about in 16 lessons. So you guys took those 16 lessons, and like you said, you went after those people who amazing people who were living the 16 lessons, and then you, as you said, when I asked you, who it's for, it really is, you got to be ready to do the work. And I think you've got to be ready to look at yourself honestly, right? Also, so I asked Tyler, Tyler shared how it impacted his life during a really low time in his life and listening to the 16 lessons. Jerry, of course, has grown up with it, with Grandpa Ed, sharing it with him at the dinner table. How were you introduced to the 16 lessons?
The funny part is, when I was introduced, I didn't know they were the 16 lessons. Mm-hmm. And a lot of what Jerry has done growing up, my dad, I'll say in this case, is that he introduced us to things from a young age, and he'd write them out on our little whiteboard and stuff that was in our room where we would study and all things like that. And he didn't necessarily call them by the things that I thought that they were, now that I'm an adult. And I'm like, I was a guinea pig this many years. Like, I had been learning this, and it had been ingrained in me since I was really, really young. And so I think we grew up with a lot of these things and maybe just didn't call them by the same name. When you're 5, you call things a little bit differently.
Right.
But, they play and show up time and time again. When I worked in the industry that I did before this, we worked with a lot of really high performers and people that were leading companies and things like that. And it's funny to see people that do things that are really high level and are able to stay at that level and sustain it. They're typically a 10 through 12 of what we call on the scorecard, which means you're the best of the best. You've ingrained this in your everyday life. And so even in things when I'm not studying it, it shows up time and time again. And it's good reminders of, oh, do you know what? Maybe it's been a month, or maybe it's been a year for some of the things since I've looked at different things, and I need to keep it front and center. And so that is one of the great things about this course, is I believe with what we call the scorecard, which allows you to benchmark where you are and see where you're going. That's a tool in your toolbox that you can look at every quarter or every year, whatever you want the cadence to be, to keep some of these things front and center. Because when everyday life comes, it's so easy to get caught up in everything and forget, some of these key principles that we need to keep at the forefront.
Yeah, and you know what? It's interesting that you say that because you guys went and got some amazing examples of the 16 lessons, and then you had them tell their stories. But you said something that I think is really important, and Dan Sullivan talks about it: unique ability, right? When these people were really good at what they're good at. And it's something I'm working on, Kelley. I'm just trying to really figure out, okay, what is it that you do differently? And my mastermind group met this Monday, and I'm going to throw it out to you, and let's just get some feedback from a super coach. They said, Dan, you know what you're really good at? You're really good at showing people the benefits of being associated with you or with whatever it is that you're representing. So if you're recommending Kelley, it's like really easy to believe the benefits of working with Kelley when you put it together. So I think that obviously I'm in sales and business development my whole life, but they said, I've never met anybody who's so good at articulating. This is why it's important for you to do this. So what are your thoughts on that, Kelley? I'd love your feedback.
I mean, I think your WHY.os shows strong in that, because first and foremost, you want to help people. So if you have found something that you truly believe can help people, you're going to share that and do anything you can to make that come to life because you want to make an impact on people. And I think that shines through in everything that you do. I think, with you taking on this new venture and being able to reach more people and doing things like this podcast, you're not only helping all the people that are listening, but it helps us, the people that are on the podcast to think about things differently than we would have before. And I think that's something that is such a gift of yours. And I think sometimes people that have the challenge in their WHY.os can get a bad rap. I really do. And I think that it is the biggest gift that you can bring to a situation to see and think about things differently than people had, especially someone like me who's a right way, who's like, no, this is the system, this is the process.
Right.
You need someone like that to kind of break you out of your shell and start realizing, oh, there are better ways to do this, or there are different ways of thinking about this that can really end up helping you make an even bigger impact. And so I'm very grateful for you to have you in my life and business and, all the things.
Well, thank you, Kelley, for saying that. And I wasn't looking for a compliment, but I will take a compliment from Kelley anytime I can get it. It's been fun to get, a lot of things are coming to mind as you were talking. Number one, I think we met in it was like September of 2019 at the Canyon Club, right? It was like that first gathering of Y coaches, and you were there with your dad, and then you were still working somewhere else at the time. And I remember, so don't discount Jerry's, how wily he is, because he brought you in little by little, and he you started kind of helping him out a little bit. And now you're a full partner. What's it been like for you to come back to your hometown? You're an Albuquerque girl, but now not only do you get to come back to your hometown, but you're working with your dad at his company. You're really using your gifts that you spent considerable amount of time, energy, and talent developing, and you're really helping make something bigger and helping your dad succeed at the next level. So what's it been like for you?
It's been a lot of fun. I can't lie. I, like you said, born and raised here in Albuquerque, and then I went to school and worked out in California for about a decade. So I was gone for a considerable amount of time, and came back a little over 4 years ago now. Time flies. And it has been absolutely incredible. All my family's here. So to have that support system, they were always there, but to have them, just like 3-minute drive down the road is pretty awesome, and get to see my grandpa goes in the office every day. And so just get to be with all of them is huge. And then to get to work with my dad has been incredible. Don't get me wrong. It came with some, hiccups along the way as we kind of realized, okay, this is what things were like as a daughter. This is what things are like as an employee. And then now, a business partner. But I think leaning into our strengths, both our motivation, how we take action, our ability, all of those things has been an absolute game changer for us, because when you have the self-awareness of why you believe what you believe, how you're going to go about it, and then what ability and skill set do you bring to the table. But then you also know that about your team, it can make the biggest impact. And so once we really knew that about each other, there was no stopping us. Like, we have very, very different skill sets and natural abilities and things like that. And once we figured out what lane he can run in and then what lane I can run in, and are building a team around that, it's so much fun. And I have more energy than ever when I'm in that lane.
That's fantastic. You just brought up something that I think is really important. There's a lot of us around your dad's age and my age that have adult daughters or sons that are not living in state because just like you, they found greater opportunity. My daughter lives in Chicago. What did Jerry do right that made you say yes to coming home? You had built a great career and we're doing fantastic. What were some of the things that Dad did so well that made you say, you know what? Okay, I'm going to go give that a try. I know he's not a high pressure guy. So what's some advice you would give to dads like Dan or other dads out there that are trying to bring their kids home to New Mexico?
I think something that I really appreciated is that, from a young age, I was asking him for appointments to do this or that of, hey, I want to go out of state for college, or, hey, this, whatever was on my mind, I would show up, little baby Kelley, with her little presentation of, here's what I want and here's why, and here's how I'm going to make it come true. All of those things. And something that I really appreciated from the time I was young is that both him and my mom and my brother, for that matter, all really supported my decisions and where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do, even though it wasn't the family norm of things. And I think had I been pressured to stay from the beginning, that it would have turned out very differently. I, was in a very fast-paced, high-stress job for about a decade. And I learned so much that I think the contribution that I can have here now in Elevation 180 and in the Direction Company is so much bigger than what I would have had right out of school. And I think getting that time to, live in a different part of the country, figure things out on my own, have to, kind of carve my own path, was so critical to me ending up back here. And I think it was honestly just timing of how things worked out. One kind of came to a natural close. I was ready to move on, and he was looking for someone to help in the business. And so it was kind of just perfect timing. Maybe he was more well-crafted it than I realized, but
oh, don't discount that. But I love the way that it sounds like it happened really naturally for you. I don't like the answer because what you're saying is kind of let it go and let it happen naturally. And so I've got 2 grandkids. So Jerry didn't have that challenge, right? Of grandkids living out of state. So I've got 2 grandkids now with my daughter. I think you guys are close in age. Jazz is 35. She graduated high school in 2007. So,
okay, I graduated in 2010. I'm 32.
Yeah, so you're close in age, no grandkids living out of state, but now he's got you here, and you're making such a difference. I think the other challenge for Dad that I would say is you got to be successful enough in your business that you can afford to hire your kid away from a really well-paying in high profile job too. So there's a challenge for me to take on also, because Jazz is a marketer and it is doing it at a really high level at her company. So if she watches this podcast, she's going to know that I'm talking about her. So, and that's okay, because I'm talking to someone who's been through it. Kelley, what's the vision for the Direction Company? Where do you see this going?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, right now we're starting with our, kind of flagship course, Catalyst for Lifelong Direction, but we want to continue making an impact and help people find the direction that they so desperately need. I think, how you mentioned, I was very fortunate to grow up with a dad and grandpa and, people in the business that had kind of mentored me through a lot of different things. And I don't know that everyone has that same dynamic. And so, getting access to these great speakers that, you mentioned is such a benefit and a gift that even someone who was, very fortunate to grow up in an environment where I had people that I could lean on and, really helped mentor me, it's I keep saying the word gift, but it is a gift to really understand where they're coming from and get those insights. And so we want to keep connecting with, like-minded people who really want to help people grow and find that direction. And I think that we'll continue to make content and courses and things like that that are in alignment with that.
And so where can people go if somebody's interested and they've listened to the interview, they say, hey, they see Kelley and look her up she's on LinkedIn, Kelley Lujan, Kelley Lujan. At Elevation 180 is a company that's listed there, but she's also, if you look up the directioncompany.com, she's prominently featured there. She's one of the narrators, so you'll get to see her face if you decide to take the course. But where should people go? How do they get a hold of the course if they're interested in taking advantage of it? And I know you have an offer for our listeners too.
Yes, definitely. So if you go to thedirectioncompany.com, you'll find an array of information. You'll find some snippets and highlights of our key peak performers that you'll hear from. You'll get to learn a little bit more about them and their expertise. And you can also purchase the course directly on that page. And if you have any questions, I'm a great resource for you. Feel free to reach out at Kelley, Kelley, at thedirectioncompany.com.
Perfect. And I know, like I said, there's a discount code that we have that for the Lead Different podcast listeners. We're going to get that. We're going to put it in the show notes. And I think there's a limited time for that, but we want you to do it. I will tell you guys, what Kelley, Tyler, and Jerry have put together is a great course. It is a great way to kind of go through. It is like going through a mastermind with some really high level people and learning about the laws of success that are really crucial. And I will tell you, I made a decision. There's a couple of people I always credit. One is Rosie Ward. I did her Courageous Leadership program last August, and that helped me really get some clarity on where I really wanted to be. But you guys coming into my life and saying, hey, Dan, check this out. So I was so blessed to go through that at a time when I was really reevaluating what I wanted to do. It's what led to me making the decision to start Why Not Leadership, to create the Lead Different podcast, and to really try to focus on my unique ability. Because when you see what people can do at a really high level, when they're focused, when they're really narrowing down, what is it that you really do better than anybody else? And then just do that. I posted about it today. Put your name in it. So make sure you go and comment, Kelley. And if you want to go see that post, it's about, do what you do best and get even better at it, right? And when you hone that, then you're really never working a day in your life. Kelley, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show, to share your wisdom. It is so cool. I talked to when I had Jerry on the show, I said, Tyler is one of the oldest young people I have ever met. Well, for you, I would say you're one of the wisest young people I have ever met. You have a tremendous presence. You're someone who has a lot of depth to you, and I've learned so much from you that I know your dad is blessed to have you working with him. Tyler's blessed to have you as part of the team. And I am just so blessed to have you in my circle. So thank you for being on, sharing more about the Direction Company, and for sharing with our leaders how they can lead different, even if they have the why of Right Way.
Thanks for having me, Dan. This has been awesome.
Have a great rest of your day. And guys, we'll be back next week with another episode of the Lead Different podcast. Have a great week, everyone.
Subscribe now. Discover a new era of leadership. Lead different because great leaders change the world.